When the storm finally faded, Elias and Elora emerged from its luminous heart into silence. Their vessel drifted through a corridor of newborn starlight, the air still thick with residual shimmer from the cosmic tempest. Behind them, the nebula pulsed softly like a sleeping creature. No longer violent, no longer hungry. Ahead stretched the vastness of a new galaxy, young, radiant, and uncharted. The stars here glowed differently, cooler hues of violet and silver. Great swirls of dust formed embryonic worlds, while distant suns burned with the promise of dawns never seen. It felt like creation itself had unfolded before them. For a time they simply floated, watching eternity breathe. Elora stood by the viewing window, her fingers brushing the transparent barrier as if she could touch the stars themselves. Elias joined her quietly, his reflection beside hers in the glass, two silhouettes framed against infinity. They were explorers, yes, but more than that, survivors of love, light, and the storm that had tested their souls. After days of wandering through this untouched region, the vessel's sensors detected a planet that pulsed faintly with life. It orbited a twin star system, one golden, one pale blue. The readings were astonishing. Breathable air, abundant water, green continents, and vast oceans. It was, in every sense, another Earth. Hope stirred in both of them. Perhaps this was where their journey was meant to lead, a sanctuary, a beginning. As they descended through the planet's atmosphere, colors swirled in magnificent gradients. The skies shimmered with twin sunsets, casting mirrored reflections across emerald seas. Forests of crystalline trees shimmered below, their branches whispering in winds scented with minerals and rain. The world was breathtaking, alive, pure, and aware. They landed near a glimmering valley where rivers branched like veins of light. Towering structures of translucent stone rose from the plains, not natural, but not entirely artificial either. They resonated with soft hums, suggesting the presence of an intelligent civilization. Elora felt it first, the pulse of consciousness echoing in the air. The inhabitants were aware of their arrival. Elias stepped out first, boots sinking slightly into silver grass. The air was cool, filled with energy that tingled on the skin. Elora followed, her long white robes moving like streams of light behind her. Together they took in the valley, the perfect silence, the feeling of eyes unseen watching from the distance. Then the watchers appeared. Dozens of figures emerged from the misty ridges, tall, graceful beings with luminous skin that shifted colors with their emotions. Their eyes were enormous and crystalline, reflecting the world like mirrors. They bore elegant weapons shaped from light, though they held them without aggression. Their language came not from mouths, but from resonance, a hum that vibrated in the air, both beautiful and uneasy. Elias raised his hands in peace. Elora extended her energy field, projecting calm intentions. But the being's light flickered darker, shifting toward violet tones, mistrust, fear, resistance. One among them stepped forward, their leader, tall as a tree, eyes burning like molten sapphire. The being's hum resonated like thunder, filling the valley. The translation matrix in Elias's wrist cuff struggled, forming fragments of meaning. Intruders. Not of our light. Your presence corrupts the harmony. Elora's heart sank. They had crossed galaxies, survived storms, healed worlds. But here they were strangers once more. They tried to explain. Through gestures, holograms, and shared pulses of memory, Elora projected images of their journey, the storm, the veil, the civilizations they had helped. The beings watched in silence. When the images faded, their leader's hue deepened further, from violet to storm gray. The storm you bring still echoes in your light, the voice translated. This world is fragile. You will unbalance it. And with that, the luminous warriors surrounded them. The ground beneath Elias and Elora shimmered, forming energy binds that anchored their feet. The leader gestured toward the horizon, where distant spires glowed with cold radiance, the heart of their civilization. They were not to be harmed, but they were to be judged. As they were escorted toward the city, Elias studied the being's architecture. It was magnificent, structures grown from crystal and sound, merging seamlessly with nature. Streams of energy ran through the streets like living rivers. Yet beneath its beauty he sensed fear, a civilization obsessed with purity, terrified of disruption. At the city's heart stood the Hall of Resonance, a colossal dome where the walls vibrated faintly, amplifying every breath. There the council awaited, beings even taller, their forms almost ethereal. Their collective presence filled the chamber with harmonic power. When Elias and Elora were brought before them, the hall's light dimmed, focusing on the two outsiders. Elora stepped forward, calm and radiant despite the tension. Her aura shimmered faintly gold, the color of honesty. She extended her hand, palm open, and a sphere of light formed above it, replaying the essence of their story, the healing, the hope, the worlds reborn. The hall filled with soft imagery, memories transformed into light. The council watched in silence. Then one voice echoed across the chamber, sharp, resonant, filled with judgment. Your light carries shadow. Where you tread, storms follow. You heal, but you alter. You bring balance, but only after chaos. Elias felt the accusation like a weight. He remembered every world they had touched, each miracle followed by unintended change. He wanted to argue, but Elora gently touched his hand. Her calm steadied him. They listened as the council decreed that outsiders could not remain. This world was still young, its harmony delicate. Even their presence, their foreign light, could destabilize it. The verdict was clear, exile, but exile did not break them. It only ignited their determination. That night, confined to a crystalline chamber overlooking the glowing valley, Elias and Elora spoke softly about what to do. Outside, the twin moons reflected in their window, merging like two souls intertwined. The city hummed with watchful silence. Elora gazed into the distance. They don't understand. The light we carry isn't corruption. It's evolution, Elias nodded. Then we'll show them. They knew escape would not be simple. The being's resonance fields could detect any energy shift, any movement that disrupted harmony. But Elora's connection to the veil gave her an edge. She began channeling faint harmonics, matching the city's frequency to mask their presence. Elias adjusted the vessel remotely, preparing for a quick launch. Before dawn, they slipped through the corridors, moving like shadows through light. Yet as they reached the city's edge, alarms resonated through the air, deep, mournful tones that made the ground vibrate. The council had sensed the disturbance. Beams of resonant energy streaked across the sky. The chase was unlike anything they had faced. Their vessel lifted amid a storm of light, narrowly dodging harmonic waves that threatened to disintegrate its molecular structure. Elora extended her energy outward, bending the resonance around them, while Elias piloted through the chaos with precision born from countless trials. They barely made it into the upper atmosphere before the resonance fields collapsed behind them, leaving shockwaves of light scattering into the void. Silence again, freedom, but not peace. As the planet receded below, Elias and Elora looked down at the glowing world that had rejected them. It was beautiful, untouched, yet bound by fear. Elora placed her hand on the glass, her expression unreadable. "This world doesn't need saving," Elias murmured. "It needs understanding." Elora closed her eyes, feeling the faint pulse of the planet's resonance even from orbit. "Then we'll find a way to make them understand, even if we have to change the light itself." Her words carried a quiet power, the promise of transformation. For they both knew every storm, every exile, every rejection was part of a greater evolution. And this time their mission was not to heal, but to bridge. The new dawn of the galaxy shimmered before them. And though they were cast out once again, they carried the spark of something eternal, something that even rejection could not extinguish. The sun of Aelion burned low against the horizon, painting the sky in threads of violet and silver. The new world, though alive with beauty, was no longer silent. Echoes of fear rippled across its plains. From the forests of crystalline trees to the glowing cities that floated upon magnetic streams, the inhabitants had begun to whisper of the outsiders, Elias and Elora. They were not gods here. They were not even welcome. Elias stood on the ridge overlooking the city of Lyraith, its towers spiraling like glass grown from the earth. His heart was heavy. Beneath the endless stars, he had once dreamed this place would be their sanctuary, a home reborn from cosmic dust. Yet every glance, every murmur, told him the truth. The people of Aelion did not trust what they could not understand. "They fear us," Elora said quietly beside him, her hair shimmering like liquid light. "Not because of what we've done, but because of what we remind them of." Elias turned toward her. "The last war," he whispered. "The Celestials, your kind." "They think I'm one of them," she said. "A destroyer dressed in the shape of a healer." The wind shifted, carrying the hum of distant wings, sentinels patrolling the skies. The world was preparing for conflict, and Elias could feel it in his bones. That night, the Council of Aelion summoned them. Inside a grand hall carved from translucent stone, figures in silver robes stood in a half-circle, their eyes sharp as moons. At their center was High Seer Vayan, a being whose presence radiated cold authority. "You bring storms to our peace," Vayan declared. "The energy signatures that follow you, the flux fields, they are changing the planet. We cannot allow that," Elias stepped forward. "We didn't come to conquer. We came to live, to help." "Help?" Vayan's voice was edged with contempt. "The last beings who said that burned our skies to ash." Elora's eyes shimmered with sorrow. "I am not them." "Then prove it," said another council member, her tone cutting. "Heal the wound," a murmur rippled through the chamber. The wound. A scar that split the planet's northern hemisphere, where gravity itself had fractured. Nothing grew there. Time stuttered. Those who entered never returned. Elias looked to Elora. "If we do this," he whispered, "they might finally see who we are." "Or they'll see how far we'll go to save them," she replied softly. And so, they accepted. The journey to the wound began at dawn. Across seas of glass and storms of color, their ship glided like a shard of light. The deeper they went, the more reality bent around them. Oceans inverted. Clouds flowed beneath mountains, and gravity seemed to hum with a heartbeat of its own. By the third day, they reached the edge. Before them stretched a chasm miles wide. Filled with swirling light and shadow, a tear in the very fabric of existence. Lightning of violet hue crackled from the depths, and time fractured in looping echoes. They could see themselves, fragments, repeating moments seconds apart. Elias reached out, and his own reflection reached back, whispering words he hadn't yet spoken. "Elora." "It's a temporal rift," he breathed. "If we step wrong, we might never come back." Elora placed her hand on his. "Then we stepped together." As they entered, the world convulsed. The air turned heavy, liquid. The stars above flickered between past and future. They walked through storms of memory. Flashes of Elora's old world, of the celestial war that had torn galaxies apart, and of Elias's life on Earth before he ever looked up and saw her light. The wound was feeding on them, showing them everything they had lost. In the midst of chaos, Elora faltered. Her form flickered, her light dimming. "The veil's power. It's still inside me," she gasped. "It's reacting." Elias caught her before she fell. "You're not alone," he whispered fiercely. "You never were." He drew her close, his presence steady against the storm. Around them, time unraveled. Yet somehow their hearts remained synchronized, a rhythm defying the void. Then came the voice. It was neither male nor female, echoing from every direction and none. "You should not be here, child of the stars, nor you, bearer of mortal flame." Elias raised his head. "Who are you?" "I am what this world remembers," the voice said. The first consciousness of Aelion, before time, before matter. "You stand within my wound." Elora took a step forward, her light flaring. "Then let us heal you." The voice trembled, ancient and wounded. Heal? I was betrayed by those who sought to help. They tore my sky apart, drained my energy, and left me broken. Why should I trust you? Elias's eyes glimmered with determination. Because we know what it means to lose everything. Silence. Then, like the slow awakening of dawn, the storm began to calm. The light that had once lashed out now coiled gently around them. Elora extended her hands, channeling her energy, not to control, but to connect. The rift responded, its colors pulsing with rhythm, syncing to her heartbeat. Elias joined her, his mind open, his will steady. Together they became a bridge between mortal and eternal, between what was broken and what could be mended. The chasm closed. When the light faded, they stood at the heart of a new valley, green and alive. The air was filled with songbirds of light, their wings glinting with crystal dust. They had done it, but as they turned, the council stood behind them, weapons drawn, fear still etched in their faces. Vayan's voice broke the silence. "You used forbidden power," Elias frowned. "We saved your world." "You altered it," Vayan hissed. "You carry the same energy that destroyed the ancients. We cannot risk you living among us." Elora's light flickered, hurt flashing in her eyes. "After everything we've done?" "Leave Aelion," Vayan commanded coldly. Before the next dawn, the people behind him shifted, uncertain, afraid. Some lowered their weapons. Others wept. Elias reached for Elora's hand. "Then we go together," he said. Again. As they walked away, the valley shimmered with dawn light, and from its heart, unseen by all but the stars, the spirit of Aelion whispered a final truth. "They will remember you. When the suns fade and the skies fall silent, they will remember." That night, aboard their ship, the two stood at the viewport. The stars stretched endlessly before them. Elora leaned her head against Elias's shoulder. "We keep leaving worlds behind," she said softly. Elias wrapped an arm around her. "Maybe we're not meant to stay. Maybe we're meant to remind them of what?" He smiled faintly. "That love can cross galaxies and still find its way home." Outside, the ship turned toward the unknown, another light among countless others, blazing across the fabric of the cosmos, and far behind them, Aelion bloomed once more, its skies unbroken, its people forever changed, though they might never admit it. Because legends, after all, are born not of acceptance, but of the courage to love in the face of fear, and Elias and Elora's legend had only just begun.